Muted.
Mohammed Bajwa, and Dave Watkins from CounterPath. So as you can see here, a couple of options really. You've got a chat function where you can enter any messages. So if you have any questions, you can just enter them in the chat box throughout, and we will get back to you as soon as possible on those. Okay, so just to go through a quick agenda of what we're going to talk about today. So we're just going to go through a short introduction about who ProVu are and who CounterPath are. We're going to talk about what the CounterPath Stretto platform actually is. We're going to talk about the main differences between the Bria 4 standalone application and the Bria Stretto soft phone clients. We're going to talk about how the Bria Stretto platform can benefit ITSPs and IT administrators. We're going to talk about the different license types that are available to purchase from ourselves here at ProVu. We're going to talk about the support charges and what they cover exactly. And then we're just going to have a chat about some of the add-on modules that you can get with Bria Stretto. And then we're just going to do a quick 5-minute demonstration of just logging into the online portal and creating a user. And then we'll just have a quick summary at the end and just a quick Q&A session. Okay, so just to tell you a little bit about ProVu, we were established in 1999. We originally started off distributing ISDN video phones, and then in 2002 we moved into the VoIP arena. We represent a number of global brands, so we distribute phones like Snom phones, Yearlink phones, we distribute Polycom, and we also distribute CounterPath, as you know, and 2-end door entry units and many more. We did a major investment into our facilities that we have here in Millsbridge in 2012-2013. We are a privately owned business and we operate from Millsbridge, which is based in Huddersfield, and we've currently got 19 staff here. Okay, so I'm just going to hand you over to Dave Watkins at CounterPath, just to give him a little bit of an introduction.
Dave, you there? Hello? Sorry about the delay, guys. I believe Dave is unable to. He's joined in, but I think that he's having some issues with the audio. We're just trying to figure something out, so just bear with me 1 second. Dave, we've just sent you an audio pin. Can you press enter it, please, and hopefully you will be able to speak to us.
Hi,
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, I didn't. I do apologise. I've not used this audio bridge facility before. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Mo. So good morning, all. I'm Dave Watkins. I'm one of the sales engineers that works for CounterPath. CounterPath is a Canadian-based company formed in 2002. Some of you may have heard of us through our product X-Lite, which has been on the market for a long time. It's basically a free download. Lots of people have used it for lots of testing and so on. That product is quite old now, but it's one that lots of people know of. Our founding fathers, if you like, at CounterPath were some of the people that wrote the original standards for SIP. So those products that Matthew was mentioning often comply with SIP standards that were, at least in some part, helped to be formed by the CounterPath team. We are publicly traded. As I say, we were an early influencer of the SIP standards through the IETF, and we are a very R&D centric company. We invest a considerable amount of money back into our R&D. That means we've got a strong track record of innovation in our products, extremely high quality. We employ about 100 people. Got lots of patents covering voice over IP, fixed to mobile convergence, and generally UC. And the products we're talking about today, broadly Bria and Stretto, are the two main parts of our offering. Bria is a range of SIP soft phone clients, and Stretto is a portfolio of server applications, which the guys from ProVu are going to very ably tell you about later on. I think I'm going to chip in a bit later on some of the add-on modules for Stretto. Well, that's a little bit about CounterPath. There's an EMEA team, which I'm part of, and we're working very closely with the guys at ProVu to help them with their business plans. Back to you guys, Matthew. Mo?
Dave, could you cover this part as well? Have you covered this part, how you supply?
Yeah, of course. So we supply. Yeah, absolutely. We supply to a wide variety of partners, both direct to enterprises, service providers, and channels. Obviously, our friends at ProVu are amongst our channel partners. We've got some quite large reference accounts. One of the ones that we're particularly proud of, although there's some very, very powerful and strong names on here, is Rogers, right there in the middle of the screen. Rogers is one of the telco operators out in Canada, and they have a product called Rogers One Number, which they've created using our clients. We do a variety of clients for our customers, and we also can provide branded clients. Something that you can talk with ProVu about. And Coca-Cola, for instance, is one that springs immediately to mind from that list, where we were able to customize the Bria app so that the colors and logos and fonts, etc., were made to be specific to that customer. So we can do that kind of cool stuff. Over on the left-hand side there, you can see a number of PBX manufacturers. We have an ongoing program of interoperability certification. We currently are certified with Avaya, Cisco, Alcatel-Lucent, also with Genband. We work closely with Mitel and Oracle, and of course Ericsson. And there are others on the list that we work with, of course. We're very, very pure SIP. There's no oddities about our SIP implementation, so we're very, very good at working with any platform that's out there. Okay?
That's great, Dave.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Over to you. No problem. Yep. Pleasure. Cheers.
So, so just to give you a brief idea about, or introduction about CounterPath Stretto platform, I'm sure you guys are aware about Bria 4 and X-like software. CounterPath Bria Stretto platform is basically more like a platform which operates or which run these licenses on, the Bria Stretto licenses. So what it is really is it's a provisioning system or provisioning tool that controls and manages all your Stretto clients in the field. So it's a centralized location for for provisioning, for messaging, presence, and reporting tool. And we will talk about that as we go along. But basically, the idea being is you could be anywhere in the world, and you can program the clients from one location, and all the end user have to do is log in, and it downloads all the data securely over HTTPS again, and then it just works. It enables the platform actually is quite flexible because you can add or you can buy add-ons to add functional features as per your customer requirement. So by default, when you buy a license, it's a basic license. You buy the license and you configure it as a software client, and it works. But if you're an IT administrator, for example, or if you are if you are into management, if you want to manage it properly and provide technical support to the customers, then you can buy add-ons like help with assistance, XMPP for messaging and instant messaging service, and also extra add-ons. We'll talk about it as well. So it's quite modular in that sense, and being CounterPath, it works with any IP-based PBXs, IMSs, or UC platforms available in the market. And again, as Dave said, it is just standard SIP protocol, but they have spent a lot of money, and they've done a lot of investment in making sure the Bria client is interoperable with all the leading PBX manufacturers in the market. So previously it was all more literal. This is more like to give you a graphical idea of how everything works. So what it is in terms of products. So and the platform basically you can see the first option is the first thing is it's an end user provisioning and support system. And what it covers is provisioning, user experience metrics. Again, we will discuss that in shortly. Helpless assistances to provide technical support remotely without having to log into the customer premises. Then we have push notifications. Again, all these add-ons. Call continuity, subscribe line proxy, and all sorts of stuff. So these are all the add-ons. It's a modular system. So by default, when you purchase it, you get the main part, which is provisioning, and then as you go along, you can buy all these extra add-on services, or you can add all these extra services to the light subscription you have purchased from us. So it is quite modular. So what it is, what's the difference between Bria 4? We've been asked this question quite a lot of times actually, because Bria 4 is available. Again, it's the same client effectively, but Bria 4 is a standalone client, whereas Bria Stretto is a provisionable client. There is some major differences. One of them is Bria 4 is only really available from CounterPath online store, and Bria Stretto is only really available via channel partners like ProVu or any or American, or maybe they do have other partners around the world as well. So Bria Stretto is more like a commercial offering. Bria 4 is more like an end user product where you just purchase it, you manually configure it, and away you go. So Bria Stretto, you can configure it from a cloud managed system. Bria 4 is not manageable at all. If your customer purchases it, you will have to log in and remotely configure, and sometimes obviously you have to. And just think of 100 user system. If you're installing it on a 100 user system, configuring 100 Bria 4 clients could be tedious task because it will take you hours and hours. Whereas if you do it on Bria Stretto, it will just, you just create a template, put all the common settings there, and assign it to users, and obviously it will just speed up the whole process. Then you don't have to be on site, you don't have to log into customer premises. All they do is log in and it works. And again, we'll talk about it in a minute. Software upgrades. So Bria Stretto is obviously a commercial offering. There is a support charge associated with each license you purchase. And again, Matt will cover that shortly. So when you do purchase the support, it does gives you software upgrades, including the price of free of charge in some senses you can call it. Whereas if you're using Bria 4 and there's a new version available, let's say next month, you will have to pay certain amount of fees. You get about 30% off RP, but it can obviously change. But this is all the information we got from Bria website. But you pay about 30% of RP to upgrade to a new release. Whereas with Bria Stretto, it's included. HD video calling, like H.264 codec, it's included in Bria Stretto. You have to pay extra license fee for Bria 4. Client, presence and messaging. Client, now this is a client, so it's not an actual service. So Bria Stretto comes with a client built in. So if you have XMPP server, which is a presence server installed or configured, you can, like Facebook and Gmail, you can configure it within the client, and you can obviously chat to people within the same client, which is more like it gives you a sort of a UC experience in overall. It is included in Bria 4 as well. Integration with Outlook, it comes free of charge service with Bria Stretto. So when you do purchase it, we do send you a link, download link for Outlook integration. Whereas it's an add-on, you have to pay about $15, $20, I think, something similar to purchase it for Bria 4. G729 codec is included with both offerings. Again, technical support charge, it is compulsory for Bria Stretto, obviously because it's a commercial offering. Whereas Bria 4, there is no commercial offering for support. It is only available via forums. The Bria Stretto is also compatible with, buy your own device concept. It is mainly designed for that sort of concept and MDM, mobile management system, whereas Bria 4 is not really designed. So, but the concept of buy your own device is basically a customer comes along, they've got their own mobile phone, so you don't have to purchase them a mobile phone. What you do is give them to download, or let them know to ask them to download Bria Stretto, configure it on cloud system. They can configure it, they run it obviously, and it just saves you a lot of money in terms of investing in mobile phone devices. You have all control on the application. If a customer leaves or employee leaves, all you have to do is disable the account, and there you go. This gives you a really flexibility in terms of mobile devices as well. This also means that Bria Stretto is, it's compatible with I'm guessing most of the major brands or mobile devices available, either Android-based or iOS-based. BlackBerry is one of them included as well. So it is, they will support you to make sure if there's anything wrong with it, they will fix it for you. Whereas Bria 4 is a tedious task. First of all, you download it, and then you have to manually configure it, put all the SIP details on Bria 4. Think of about 10 users, and you'll know what I mean. As Bria Stretto is based on the Stretto platform, so it is modular. So you can add extra bit of features on top of the Bria Stretto. Whereas with Bria 4, you pay for what you get. There is no add-ons apart from obviously Outlook integration. There is only really Outlook and some codec functionalities available. So these are the major differences between Bria 4 and Bria Stretto really, and hopefully that clarifies our take on it. In terms of the actual client, now this is purely for Bria desktop, but again, most features are quite similar to Bria mobile and tablet as well. So with Bria Retail, again, Retail version is the one you purchase from Bria directly or from App Store or from Android Store, whereas Cloud Solution is from something you purchase from us. Now the cloud system-based Bria Stretto client is free to download. So it is downloadable free of cost, but when you download it, it doesn't do anything for you. It asks for a username and password, which you have to basically create on the Stretto platform. Again, we'll discuss that in a minute too. So in terms of pricing, it is both of these things are quite competitive. You can do, you can make calls, receive calls with both versions, which is fine. You can seamlessly integrate between software clients. Voice calls, video conferencing calls are included with both. But the major difference where it comes is the management part of it. What it means is you can configure, you can create users, delete users from the centralized location or Stretto server. You can push updates, push upgrades. You can make changes if somebody, if you have to make a certain change in a SIP registrar, for example, you've changed your SIP service provider. Instead of changing it on 100 users, all you have to do is change it in one location, which is a template you've created for the customer, and you apply to all 100 users. So it's a 1-minute job when you do it with Stretto, whereas for Bria Retail it is a very, very time-consuming job. And again, you can lock settings, so nobody can change anything to do with SIP. You can't do that with Bria Retail. It's one of the major, major advantages of Bria 4. Bria Stretto is basically you can lock settings. So when you lock SIP settings, nobody can have access to any SIP password or anything like that. You don't have to pass them any, so it's more secure for you because you're not sharing any SIP details with the end user, so nobody can, play about with it on other devices. Again, extra add-ons, it does have access to analytics and reports, which is a really nice feature, and we'll discuss that in a shortly as well. You can push device logs from the actual end user device to the Stretto platform, and you can download and look into it, and you can troubleshoot it. So you don't have to actually log in on the customer premises, computer or mobile devices. All you have to do is ask them to go to certain settings and press the update button, and it will upgrade, push the logs, device logs to Bria Stretto platform for you guys to look at it. So what are the real benefits for IT administrators and ITSPs for that really? As we discussed previously, the major part is it is easily manageable and provisionable clients. So only IT guys will have, or people who know what they're doing will have access to the system. End user, there is no interaction by the end user on the platform. All they have to do, end user guys, is log in with the username, password you've created for them on Stretto client, and it will download all the settings you have configured. So all they know is they've got extension configured on the system, and it works. Another way you can do it is it helps ITSPs and IT administrator upsell accounts. So if you are in, let's say, for example, if you are in hosted telephony services, people definitely go for hard phones. So they want something nice on the basic phone, on their desk phone, for example. But they would also like the opportunity to have something on their mobile devices, so when they're not in office, they can still receive calls on their mobile devices. So it give ITSPs and IT administrators an opportunity to upsell accounts. So you can sell another extra account for mobile devices. And what it means is basically they can be anywhere around the world or anywhere out and about. They can use their mobile phones for mobile calls, obviously, but at the same time, as long as they have 4G or 3G or Wi-Fi access, they can make and receive office calls or commercial calls as well. Template-based configuration is one of the advantages. Again, as I discussed, basically you can create templates per user or per company. So if you have 10 different companies all using different PBXs, for example, or all using different host telephony services, or all using different scenarios, and every scenario is different. So what you can do is it put all the generic or common files or common configurations in one file, and then from there you assign that to the user. It creates a lot of it relieves so much pressure from you in terms of time that it just makes life easy. So you only spend time on the template at first, and then you can assign it to 1 to 100 or how many users you've got on the system, which is really good. Another option, it is, as we discussed, Bria Stretto is a supported version. So basically, if there is a problem, you don't have to go on forums, or you don't have to go anywhere. You come to ProVu Communications. Our technical support team will obviously deal with it. They will try to help. If we are unable to help because of it's something a bit more low level issue, then we have direct access to CounterPath technical support team, or they call it TAC. So we can raise it with the team, and then we can resolve it. So it's fairly quick in terms of response time from CounterPath, mainly because of the relationship we have with them. These Bria clients are reusable clients. So, for example, if you have a customer or employee or within a certain company who leaves, you can obviously delete the user and reassign that license to another customer. They're not transferable, and we will discuss that in a minute or two. But basically, what it means in a high-level thing is, when you do buy or purchase these licenses, we ask you to provide us with a domain name. For ITSPs, you will probably just need one domain name, and you will create users like Mohammed@provu.co.uk, for example, Matt@provu.co.uk. But there's an opportunity, so maybe if you have a corporate company, they might want their own domain name for login, just to ease of remembering the login details for Stretto client. So under ProVu, we can create a subdomain, something like abc.com. And people who work for abc.com can log in from, they're using their own email addresses. So it's easy to remember system. And we'll discuss that in a minute again. But the idea is you can reuse the license within the same domain, but you can't move them from ProVu to abc.com. And so it is really important, because we have been asked this question quite a few times where people wanted to move from one domain to another. So that's not an option. It's not transferable at all. You do use Stretto platform, you do have access to latest features. Obviously, CounterPath keeps on adding features to the Stretto platform, which obviously have been passed on to some of the features which are free of charge, will be passed on to end users and resellers. And obviously, the software updates are included in the price anyways. And one of the last features, again, which is quite important for administrators, is you can lock all the important settings, mainly the SIP settings, so no one can change it, play with it, and break the system. So it is really, really important feature for all the IT administrators and ITSPs. So now I'll pass on to Matthew, who will talk a bit about the type of licenses available from ProVu.
Thank you, Mohammed. Okay, so there's two main types of licenses. So the first type of license is the device license. Now what this basically means is you can only use that on one device. So if you were to purchase a license from us, you'd either buy a desktop license, a tablet license, or a mobile license. The second type we've got is the user license. Now it's a slightly different. If you buy a user license, it allows you to log in on up to 4 devices of any mix. So you could log in on a phone, you could log in on a desktop machine, and you could even log in on a tablet machine. Now you can't necessarily do that at the same time, logging in on multiple devices due to the PBX. It depends if the PBX supports multiple SIP registrations. I understand that most PBXs don't actually do this, so that is something you will have to check with the PBX if you are looking into this. So as you can see on the right hand side, I've basically just covered those. So we've got the desktop license, we've got the tablet license, the mobile license and user license. Okay, so I'm just going to go into a bit about what the support charges actually cover. So it covers software updates, including minor and major updates. So if there's a sort of like a mini bug in the software, CounterPath will release new upgrades for that. If there is, for example, a new upgrade on like a mobile device, for example, so there's a new Android version, for example, Marshmallow has recently been released into the market. If Bria Stretto is having problems with the latest software, CounterPath will work to release a new version to work with it. The support charges cover access to the Stretto hosted portal. So as Mohammed's previously mentioned, it is access to the cloud-based portal that you access online. And it's the same thing really for the ongoing management of the licenses. If you pay the support charge, you'll be able to log in on the cloud portal, you'll be able to log in on your mobile devices yourself and your users. It also offers direct support from ProVu technical support team, as Mo's mentioned. Now just to let you know, if there is failure to pay the support charge, the service will be terminated. So access to the cloud portal will be stopped, and your users or yourselves will also not be able to log into Bria Stretto on your devices.
Just to confirm, although, just to add to what Matt was saying, if let's say, for example, if we have 10 different, user licenses or licenses for different customers, obviously we invoice for the support charge based on when you purchase it. So if you purchase it in June, we will invoice you next June. If the next license was due in September, we'll invoice you in September for it. So basically what it means is if you only have, obviously if you purchase 50 licenses in the same month and you don't want to pay support, then obviously all 50 licenses will be disabled. But if you have purchased in different time slots throughout the year, then we will obviously we will take one of the licenses away. Now this is something we'll have to obviously communicate. What we will do is we'll invoice you. If you want to keep on using the license, obviously you guys will pay for it. If you don't want to keep on using the license, what you will do is you will reply to our invoice email saying, can you please remove this license for the customer? And again, we will work with you guys to make sure it happens. We don't just block it straight away. We will communicate with you guys to make sure we are disabling or removing the right license. So this only applies, although we're saying it will, stop or terminate your access to the service, but it's only really the license service. It's not access to the Stretto. Well, eventually, if it's obviously all 100 licenses, or as I said, all licenses bought in the same month, for example, obviously it will terminate your access to the Stretto platform as well. But if you're an ITSP and you were selling it, 5, 10, 20 a month or something like that, we will obviously terminate a license and we would keep your access to the Stretto client as normal. You will just lose one of the licenses.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the add-on modules that are available. So we have got the help desk assistant. Now that is, at this time, it's only available on the mobile devices, so iPhone and Android devices. Basically what that means is, on the mobile device you can go into a settings menu and you can sort of enable the help desk assistant. Of course you've got to purchase it first for it to work, but it assigns you a reference number. which you can then enter on the cloud portal. I will show you this in the demo. I'll just give you an example of how it works. There's the XMPP server, which is available as an add-on. Now, basically, when you buy Bria Stretto, it does include the XMPP functionality. So if you do have your own XMPP server, you can enter those details. If you don't, you can purchase the XMPP add-on, and it is CounterPath's own hosted XMPP server, so you'll be able to be set up with that. There's also a screen sharing mode, which is available on the desktop version, so there's no support for mobile or tablet devices at the moment. Basically, what that allows you to do is it's more of sort of a debugging solution. So if a client's having an issue, you can set up a remote screen session so that you can have a look at the desktop computer and just, you can just have a play around with it just to see what's going wrong if there are any problems.
It can be, just to add again to Matt, it can be used as a collaborative tool as well. So like nowadays we are using GoToMeeting. So this whole thing can be used as a collaborative tool within an organization where you can host meetings, you can share your PowerPoint presentations, you can do all sorts of different things like most of the things you can do with any commercial offering anyway. So although you can use it for troubleshooting and remote support as well, but the idea being is you can also use it as a collaborative tool, so you can host meetings, conference calls, screen sharing, and also other bits and pieces that you can do. Yeah, over to you.
Okay, and in regards to battery saver mode, I'm going to hand you back over to Dave Watkin at CounterPath. Are you there, Dave?
Okay, I am. Hopefully you can hear me this time. You hear me now?
Yeah, that's it. We've got you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I'll just add one little point about the screen sharing. You can host a screen sharing session from desktops, but not from mobiles, but you can join a screen sharing session from any device which supports a browser. So what happens when you create a screen sharing session is you can invite someone through an instant message window, or you can mail them, or in some other way send them a URL, and they can join from any device which supports a browser. As an example, and to support what Mohammed was just saying, I probably shouldn't admit this, but I was caught out shopping the other day at lunchtime, a little longer than I expected, and I had a training session hosted by my colleagues out in our headquarters in Vancouver. And I only had my Android mobile device on me with Bria. So I was able to, on 4G, I was able to join our conference bridge, and using the Bria screen share that the guys out in Vancouver were using, I was able to watch the slideware that was being shown to me as part of the training, all on my Samsung mobile. So it is a really powerful collaborative tool, as Mohammed was saying. So to pick up where the guys have left off with these other modules, battery saver is a fantastically powerful tool for people that are using mobile devices. I've been in this industry more years than I'd like to admit, to be honest, but certainly well in excess of 25 years. And the challenge with mobile devices has always been that the users want more features and better screens and more colours, but the manufacturer struggles to provide battery cover that keeps the life of the device going. What Battery Saver does is it puts the Bria client into a sleep state and uses push notification over the mobile network to wake Bria up if there's an inbound call. So what we do is we position a proxy server which registers to the SIP service, so it becomes effectively the SIP client. But obviously it doesn't answer the call. What happens is when a call is directed to your mobile device, our proxy server sees that call and sends a push notification to Bria across the mobile network, wakes Bria up, and in that way you're able to take the call. There is a very, very slight delay, but it's extremely small, and in 99.9% of circumstances no one will even notice. And the benefit in terms of battery life is huge. You're effectively using no battery power whatsoever when you're not on a call. So that's battery saver mode, fantastically powerful. Call continuity is what I would call fixed to mobile convergence perhaps, so that's the ability to push an IP-based call out over the GSM network if you're going to move out of IP coverage. This isn't going from Wi-Fi to 3 or 4G. That's built into the clients and works automatically. This is taking an IP call and pushing it out over a GSM should you need to if you haven't got any further GSM coverage. We can provide more information through ProVu on that. It's a slightly more complex implementation, but it does work very, very well. Subscriber line proxy is another module for Stretto, and what that does is it enables you to share one SIP voice license on your PBX with multiple devices. So some SIP PBXs will support multiple SIP registrations, and some will not. And depending on whether you need to do this, you can use subscriber line proxy to allow multiple devices to register to one directory number, if you like. In my own case, I, as we say, eat my own dog food. So in other words, I use the CounterPath products exclusively. I've got Windows Bria on my laptop, I've got Bria Mobile on my iPad, and I've got Bria Mobile on my Android, on my mobile phone. All three of those devices are all registered simultaneously, and if a call is presented to me, it rings on all three devices. So that's a way of dealing with that if your PBX doesn't support multiple SIP registration. Moving on to user experience metrics, UEM is a window on the service that you're providing to your end users. User experience metrics is a module which gives you statistical and graphically presented data on things like latency, jitter, packet loss, mean pinion score, what codecs your users are using, what audio devices they're connecting to their Bria clients, and a multitude of other information. How many successful calls, how many unsuccessful calls, and all this is done through an agent which is within the Bria client, and it's all assimilated within the Stretto UEM module for Stretto. We were talking about this yesterday at an internal meeting. It's fascinating, some of the data that you can pull. We were able to pull this data on our own internal network, and we could see all the people that had registered their Bria mobile device with their car's Bluetooth system, and we were doing a sort of little internal poll of all the people's cars. So you get Bill's BMW and Steve's Volkswagen internal Bluetooth. So it's amazing the level of information you can get. From perhaps a more practical level rather than a fun level, you can see what mobile device your users are using and what version of the OS on that platform they've got. So if you've got somebody with an extremely out-of-date Android or iOS version, you're able to identify that straight away. So that's a quick run through the value-add modules for Stretto. Some are included with a hosted setup. Some will need to be on-premise, and I'd encourage you to talk with the guys at ProVu if you're interested in any of those modules, and where necessary, of course, we'll support ProVu in determining the best design for what you need. So I'll hand back over to the guys at ProVu. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Dave. Okay, I do apologise that this is running over the half-an-hour schedule, so we'll try and be as quick as possible here. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick live demonstration of using the Cloud Portal and creating a user. So I'll just switch over to this now. Okay, so I'm just going to use one of the demo accounts that we've got set up. So basically, when you purchase a license, you receive a link with like a username and password in, and this is what you'll use to log into the portal with. So if I just go ahead here and log in. So on the left-hand side here, I've got the domain name that I'm using. So if for example, you've got a master domain and a subdomain, you'll see your master domain on this left-hand side here and your subdomain below, so you can manage both domains. And as Mohammed previously mentioned, you can set login details for each domain, so your customer could potentially have access if they wanted to. So we're just going to go ahead here and create a user. I'll just clear this one off, we'll just start this one again. Okay, so all you need to do is you'll just need to click New here, You can see the SIP.xmpp template here on the left-hand side. You can duplicate this. So if you want to use different templates for different users, you can go ahead and do this. Okay, so it asks for a provisioning username here. This is all that will be used to just log into Bria Stretto on a desktop device or mobile or tablet device. So I'm just going to pop in my name here. So the username would be matthew@provu.trial4.co.uk. And then it'll ask for a provisioning password, so I'm just going to pop in a random one here. And just to make you aware, this isn't anything to do with the SIP password. This is completely separate. This is just simply used to just log into Bria Stretto. Okay, so if I just scroll down a little bit here, you'll see the SIP account details that you'll need to enter here. So I'm just going to use a demo one here. Okay, authorization name, this will need to be the extension number. The display name, you can pop it to whatever you like here. It doesn't actually have to be the extension number. This will just be the caller name that users will see when they answer the phone. SIP credentials, this is the actual SIP password you'll need from the extension from the PBX. Okay, and then it'll ask for the username again, which is again the extension number. And then underneath that you'll see the domain name. So that's just the domain name of the PBX. So if you've got a PBX on site or you've got hosted PBX, it'll just be that. Okay, so we're just using a demo PBX here, so I'm just going to pop in the IP address of the on-site PBX. And that's all you'll need for the SIP credentials here. So all you need to do is after that, you'll just need to click Save here. Okay, and then you can just see that the user I've created is actually saved here. And then if you were just going to create multiple users for different people, you just follow the same process again, and then just choose the template that you'd like to use. So that's all saved is that now. So I'm just going to switch over to the actual Bria Stretto application for Windows. So I'll just enter the username that I created, which is matthew@provu.trial4.co.uk, and then the password that I put in. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and log in here. Okay, so this is what you'll see after you've logged in. So you've got your keys here that you can enter to dial, and you can see your SIP account that you're going to use to make outgoing calls and incoming calls. Now I'm just going to show you this here. If I go to softphone and account settings, you can see that the SIP account is actually there. So 9010, which I've used. You cannot edit any of this, so it's completely locked down. So all you'd need to do is give your customer the provisioning username and password that you set on the portal, and that is basically it. The configuration is completely locked down, so I can't edit this, I can't delete it, and I can't disable the account. Okay. So as you can see here, yep, you can just make your outbound calls from here. You've got some options down here at the bottom. So you've got a list of contacts. So if you want to go ahead and create contacts in here, you can do, and put them in categories. I have actually created a test contact here. Now this is also how you set up the presence feature. So if you're wanting to see if somebody's available or on the phone, all you need to do is, if I just clear this one off, and I'll just go through that. Okay, so if I just add a contact here, I'm just going to call this test. And then it'll ask for the soft phone, which is the extension number of the user. If I just pop in one here, and I click add there, you'll see that that number is actually registered under that contact. So if I click OK, you can see the status of that person. So it says that they're ready, so basically they're available for a call, and they're not on the phone at all. If I go ahead and call that, you'll notice that it says that it's ringing. So all the statuses change over just through the presence feature. And that's about it really. That's basic guide to creating a user and logging into Stretto. So I will just close this now.
Right. Thanks, Matthew. I hope that the interface or the live demonstration probably have helped you understood how at least basic how it works. So getting started, how do you progress with the whole solution? Now it is pretty much straightforward. What you do is obviously you come to us and you can order either Bria mobile, desktop, tablet, or user licenses. You can either send us a PO or you can use Process to order the licenses. When you do order the licenses from via Process, please make sure you do add the support charge or power code for support charge as well. If not, we will call you and to confirm that it's okay as well. If it's your very first order, we will ask you to for a domain name. As Matthew rightly explained, that every license is assigned to a domain name, so you can have either a single domain or a multiple domains or subdomains. There's no sort of limit from our point of view. But the only issue is if you have multiple subdomains, you can't move licenses from one domain to another domain. You can reuse them within the same domain name, but you can't move them from one to another. Also, this is important to understand. So once you provide us with a domain name, we will create all the login details on the portal, and we will email you the login details. Once you receive the login details, you will, with a link for the Stretto platform, you will basically start creating users, and obviously once the users are created, you can email end users with the login details. Now you can generate an email within the Stretto platform to send it to end user directly. We've not covered this today, but it is possible. If you would like to do it, get in touch with us and we'll show you how easy it is to achieve that anyways. So in summary, what we've discussed today really is Bria Stretto is a provisionable, cloud managed system which controls or manages software clients or Stretto software clients. The whole idea is, it is you manage it from anywhere in the world. You don't have to log into customer premises or customer computers. Excuse me. Bria Stretto is available for all mobile, desktop, and tablet devices. It's not really available at Linux at the moment. It is only for Mac and Windows. So Linux support is not available. In terms of mobile devices, it is available for all Android, iOS devices. But it's not. There's a version of it's not available for Windows, so you can't use it on any Windows device. There's a version available for BlackBerry, but it is only limited to voice call. You can't have instant messaging feature on BlackBerry at the moment. When you do quote customers, think of scenarios how people would like to use the solution or the licenses. A per device license most probably will fit most of the bills where you just have one user and one device. If we do want people of the Indians, we do want flexibility in terms of moving between different devices. Maybe they have one computer or laptop in office, one at home, or maybe they do move about a bit at different places as well. Then probably think of a user licenses. Another example is for a call center requirements. Think of a user license because that will be the best suited one. The main reason being is when the shift on a call centers can vary. Maybe there are 4 shifts or 3 shifts, and so the same computer can be used by multiple agents at the same time. So the idea being is if one agent leaves maybe a half 4 hours duty, then another can log in. So when the other logs in, it acts as a second device, user license, right? So it acts as a second separate device for the same user. So if you are using a device license, it wouldn't let you log in because the computer is already registered to another user. So that's why it's important to have a user license. So up to 4 different people can log in from the same computer at the same time, not at the same time, but in different shifts. So think about how people would like to utilize it is really important. Again, there are 2 different kinds of licenses available per device and per user. get excellent margin opportunities as we are distributors, so we pass some margins to resellers. The reseller can sell it to end users. And there is obviously an ongoing revenue stream from support as well. There are add-on modules available, which Matt and Dave has gone through today. So if you'd like XMPP service, help desk assistance, or any other features that you would like to try it out, get in touch with us, and we can help you with that as well. Just before closing off, we do have some trial accounts available. So if you would like to get your hands on Bria Stretto, get in touch with either myself or Matthew. We will create a trial account on the system, and you can play with it yourself in your own time. And if there's any problem during the trial, you can get in touch with us, and we can give you either a 10-20 minutes training on how to use it, and then get you going with it. So that's really it for today. I hope it was useful. Now, just before we're closing off, questions we have been asked by the guys. So, Dave, I might have to need your input on these if you don't mind.
Of course, I'll do my best. Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the questions I've got is: are there any functionality restrictions between mobile OS devices? I'm thinking comparing with desktop clients, obviously.
So first of all, this is sort of politician's answer, I'm afraid. One of the things we're most proud of at CounterPath is how uniform the experience that our users have across platform is. So a person who is used to using Bria on a Mac would find it very simple to transition to a Bria on a PC, and equally very simple to transition to Bria on an iPad or an Android mobile or so on. So in every case, we engineer from the end user's perspective, and that's an ethos that runs right through the company from all our R&D right down. Of course, there are differences because the OS and the screen on various devices has certain differences, of course. Some have higher resolution screens and so on and so forth. An interesting one, for instance, between an iPhone and an Android phone is it's very difficult to access the native dialer on an iPhone, whereas it's relatively easy by comparison on an Android mobile. So that's the political answer, and I hope that sort of gives you a bit of background. There is a spreadsheet, a chart, which I will send to the guys at ProVu, which we can share, which gives you the detail. So you can go through and select and figure out which ones you're most interested in and see which ones are and aren't available across the various platforms. But in general, we try to make it as even as we can, and most things are available cross-platform. Okay?
That's great, Dave. Thanks for it. Another question is: can you erase it off a phone? I'm guessing it's a mobile application. You can't erase it, really, isn't it? You can obviously disable the account, but you can't erase an application, because that would be basically probably security loop, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. One of the things that we support that hasn't been discussed today is mobile device management. So it is possible to provide the Bria client in an MDM container, and under those circumstances, you would have control to remote delete the Bria app from a mobile. So if your concern is employees leaving and trying to continue using that device, there are two things that I'd reply to that with. One, you could just delete them off of Stretto and then they can't log in anymore, which is a 10-second job. So although they've still got the app on their device, it's useless without a login and password. But if you're concerned about stored numbers and stored messaging, and so it was a financial environment, and an employee of the bank or the insurance company has left, and you want to keep that information, then using a mobile device management type app would give you the ability to remote delete and wipe what the guys at ProVu could expect, because although we interoperate and work in an environment, it's not one of our products. We partner up with various companies for mobile device management. So I hope that answers that.
That's great, Dave. Sorry, we've got quite a few questions, so keep on coming, right, guys, really. Is it possible to integrate with an external portal? And I'm guessing it's API, isn't it?
Yeah, we support APIs for Stretto and for Bria, so you can drive Bria from, for instance, a CRM application. We actually have a native integration with Salesforce that's just been completed. Also, if you want to, you can integrate the provisioning of a client with your external application. So I can't name the customer, but we have a customer who, when, how can I describe this without giving away who it is? Their clients arrive at their premises and pay for the services that they're using while they're on site, and they do that using an application. When that application successfully registers a new user on their site, then it uses the API in Stretto to provision their soft phone for them. When they're deleted from that external application, then likewise using the API, it deletes their account and they can no longer use the phone. So yes, absolutely, API for both ways. Yeah, and we can also provide access to what we call the end user portal, and that reveals some of the Stretto controls if you want to through a web browser on your device. So it may be that you want to give your users the ability to make small changes to their setup. Again, I'd repeat that it's under your control or ProVu's control, so you can allow or disallow access to that at your discretion. I hope that answers that question okay.
That's great, Dave. And one of the last question is basically from a customer. They're saying we currently use Samsung. We use VoIP applications on mobiles. When using the iOS, this will only allow you to make calls through the app and not receive calls. Whereas on Android, you can do both. Are you aware of any limitations? I'm not sure if he's talking about Bria in general, but are you aware of any issues with receiving calls on iOS devices?
No, we can seamlessly make and receive calls on.
Oh, sorry guys, I think we'll probably have lost Dave, but basically answering your question, if you're talking about Bria in general, I'm not sure why it's the case. You probably need to contact us and we'll do some investigation. But in general, there is a major difference between how iOS devices work and Android devices work. So basically on Android, you have access to the dialer. So the application, when a call comes in, it acts on Android. It makes it looks like a call is coming from your mobile phone. So you can obviously swipe around and answer the call from the Android device because you have access to the dialer, because core of the dialer. In iOS device, you have to actually run the device, run the application to be able to make and receive calls. Obviously, when you're making calls, it means you are actually inside the application. Because iOS or Apple guys don't give you access to the dialer portal, so you can't automatically, receive calls or make calls. So if the reason it might be working is because you are inside the application, and obviously you're registering and you're making calls. When you get out of the application, it most probably means your maybe iPhone is just or iOS device is just killing the Bria or any other application you're running, and it's not registered anymore, which means basically it's not working. But that's where the add-on for Stretto comes in quite handy, which allows you to have Bria Stretto or Bria running in the background, and when it comes along, what it means is you can it will activate, it will alert the application within iOS or Android, and it will make it alive and register, and you will be able to receive calls. Another question is, can you take mobile calls and VoIP calls at the same time on iOS? Yes, if you are obviously, again, as the issue is iOS, you have to run the application in the background to be able to receive calls. So if you're on a mobile call and if your application is running in the background, you should be able to receive calls without any problem. So there shouldn't be any problem. There are some other questions as well, but because we are way above our time slot, we will email you guys with all the answers we can. Just to confirm, this webinar is being recorded, so we will send you an email with a recorded version of the webinar and PowerPoint slides we've used for the webinar for your record, so you can obviously listen in again, or you can share it among your colleagues if you have to. And that's about it, really. Obviously, Dave had some issues with the audio quality, so he can't join us again. He's still having issues. But once again, from ProVu and from on behalf of Dave, thank you very much for taking obviously 1 hour of your time to join the webinar. I hope it was useful. Any questions? You've got my email address and Matthew's email address on the slides. Please come back to us with any further questions, and we will be happy to assist. And thanks everyone for joining. Thank you. Thanks, Dave, for your input. It was really useful. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you.